Good morning, traders. This is Wilkey with Startup Trading. It is 8:39 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, May 29th, 2020. So, looking back at yesterday's session, we had some overprices paid on Wednesday. Sorry about that. And that's what these blue boxes are at the top. So, these are trades that went off after the bell before futures closed on Wednesday. So looking at Thursday's action, right? So the Russell, pretty much, everyone got above those levels, right? Couldn't hold above those levels, right? That's the top marker. But we did make some new highs. We did hit some profit targets up here, and we failed coming into the close. So basically around you know the 3 o'clock, the last hour that trading, right? We had that that flush down. And where did the flush down go to? It went to a technical level, supposedly on some China news, right? But I mean, it went down to 3019 half, and we had 3019 quarter as area as the next major support. Based on the retracement up from day to day. So not major, but day over day support lines, and it held it, and it held each of these lines that we had marked up for a rally each time it hit them yesterday. So I don't think the news was really that big of a deal. I think it was more of that we had hit profit targets, and it was time to take out the longs, recharge, suck in some bears, and see what we can do next. So it's all about going back down to the next entry, and we'll have to see where we think that is. So we just had personal spending. We're going to have at 9:45 Chicago PMI. At 10 o'clock we're going to have consumer sentiment, revised consumer sentiment, and then at 11 o'clock Powell's going to be on the mic yakking away. So we'll see how out, and I'm not sure how long he's going to be on there, but assume 20 minutes to an hour, and then you can tune in via webcast to check it out. Then you'll know when he's not on the mic anymore. So yesterday we had the all week long we've had the Russell outperforming, right? So yesterday, right, it went back to business as usual. We had the Nasdaq up 1/3% basically, and the Russell down 2%. ES flat, Dow down 1/3% basically. So if we look at the range charts and the comparison charts for the last 5 days, you can see the Russell is still up, right? But you can see that 2% drop from yesterday. You can see the Nasdaq was the only one up, but over the last 5 days, as you notice, the Nasdaq is the only one that's negative. And then going back through, you can still see, the outperformance from the Russell. Going to about 20 days now, the Nasdaq is back in the lead, and then the rest of them are right in the middle of the pack. And you can see that flare back from the Russell yesterday. So one of the areas that I gave the room last night, right before futures open, was where the bulk of the meeting went off. So we watched the value area, and then I usually give another level or two if I see something significant. So I gave them 30.34.75 to 30.48.50, and you can see for the Nasdaq, right, we had a split distribution at 9,500. So in the overnight session, we had some fib sequences as well, but this 30.34.75 has been a lid. Once we crossed over it, basically, you've got a few ticks above it, but basically that has been the ceiling for this. So this is all overhead supply currently, and we'll see, how things progress going down from here. So I want to go ahead and back up and look at the week so far, right? So the holiday session opened up, Sunday night. Come back up here, and then this is not really a pitch session. The Wall Street was closed right on Monday, so this is where futures traded on Monday. Opened up for Tuesday session Monday night, kind of ramped up, but if you look at the bell-to-bell trading, right, it was pretty much just a down day, right, but still way above Friday's close. And then we do it again, right, we track up overnight for Wednesday's session, and then fall from grace, And then as soon as we do, people think that we're really going to get something going explosively to the downside, right, going in here. And what happens, we hit this low around 10 to 11 a.m., and we just rally up and we take out highs of the week. And really, that high mark from here is where all that distribution went off overnight and yesterday above us. So that 34.75 to 30.48.50 is that overhead supply now, and we're just basically banging around in this area of the chart. So again, after hitting these profit targets, come back down, right, and we're just looking for the next entry. So we've got below yesterday's low. I'll take off this color now, and we'll get in here. So overnight session, 27.75 points, and you can see, session opened up here, tried to stay in that distribution, right, fell under it, come back up, hit its head once, come back down. Now it's hit its head twice on that distribution, 3 times if you count this candle. And one other thing I want to point out, just real quick, it'll be a little bit messy, but coming off of this high, and I'm sure Jack will go over this, we had an extension going into the close, right, that just completed. So as we opened up last night, right, we're sitting here holding this 61.8. We go back down and we touch profit targets. So it'd be the, same anchor, new low. Well, that one gets, taken back out. So now if you look at really where we are, we're just sitting here. For any bearish case possible, right, this is the draw you're looking at. We've pretty much already, come into this 38.2 repeatedly, haven't got to the 50 yet. That 50 is going to be right at 38.21 and the 61.8 at 44. So the shorts are basically holding control. I will let you know that there have been 344,000 contracts overnight, and they're really not getting anything so far overnight, right? They're really stuck between, for most of the session, between this 19 basically and 35 is where a lot of this trading has went off. So the bears need to get some reward here, or there's going to be hell to pay back at the upside. The only thing they got going for them, right, is a good backstop, right, is they got all this overhead supply in this band up here, right? So this should be a little bit more difficult to churn through. It shouldn't, zoom down through it like we did yesterday, although with as much pent-up demand that's down here, it is possible just to take this area out. But I would expect that the first time that we see 48.5, that's going to be resistance. If it does indeed trade, the bears still could do their job and keep this down. So looking at all the indexes and moving on, you can see overnight lows, the green dotted lines, are all below the previous day's low. For the NASDAQ, right, just modestly so. You might as well say they're equal. And then for the NASDAQ, we're right around the unchanged line right now. And here's that 95 double distribution line that I want to mark up for you. So getting above 95 and holding, if that does indeed happen later on, is going to be more of a bullish sign. So for target ranges today and areas that I think would be possible, it'd be basically between S3 and R2 for all the indices except for the NASDAQ. So I think just S2 to R2 is really the range that I want to watch. So keep in mind down below, we have 3,004 to 29.93 half is the next distribution node that I'm looking at for potential support if we do take out this overnight low. So looking at the sequences, you can see it's just a choppy sideways mess basically for what's going on in the ES. For the session wise, we looked at just a draw from yesterday as well, and then sloppy for the NASDAQ as well, and then coming out of this high, we'll see if they get anything coming or going here, but really your line in the sand right now is right at 94.72.75 if we don't make another new low in the overnight session. You can see also coming up here, right, the bulls are going to try to hold now that they've completed up here. They're going to want to try to hold 36 quarter. Looking at the Russell, just a sloppy mess as well. So looking at the longer term charts, I think really what's key for today is, do we get back above? I'm not really watching the 3,000 marker as much as I'm watching 3027. So we traded that 19, into that close yesterday. We've come down under it. We've got 3,011.75, which did trade overnight to the tick, right? So that support area has traded overnight, and it's been respected. We've come back down for a retest, couldn't get anything, and we've talked about all the issues with the overhead supply up here. So really getting below this 3,011.75. I don't have a whole lot down here until we look at those other marks that I had on the profile, the 3004 to the 2993 half. So moving on to the NASDAQ, and we'll zoom in here. It's really just going back and forth, right? It really didn't do much. Come down incrementally, made another lower low, but it's just really digesting still, staying as far ahead as everyone else as it has. And you can see right around that 9,500 that we talked about, 94.89 is where it is on the profile markers for the longer term. You've got 72 basically above that. You've got 94.09 below that. And below that, there's a couple stopping points. One would be basically 9,300 if things really fall out of bed today. Looking at the Russell, which has been very technical, right? So resistance, we've got support now, and so really it's just in this chop zone up here. And again, it's in the open air. So as long as 1377.30 holds, and while we're down here, we'll cover it if it don't. 1353.60 is the next level I have below that, and that could be a nice, bounce back up at least to 77.30 or near it if it trades. But we're in this white space, as I call it, this void, and there's really no resistance up until 1582.30. If you're looking at longer terms, you get a decent risk reward as long as you can stay closing above 53.60. There's odds that it'll still probably trade within the next 6 weeks if you are that long of a term player with options or some other markets, or if you want the the IWM or something. So then looking at the Dow, and the Dow's hit its head on this 25,750, and as it's done that, that's where really where we topped off yesterday. We've come back down into this area of the chart, right? So this is one of the voids in it, and it's just backing and filling right now. So I don't see a real technical edge profile-wise on what to do. You do have the overhead supply that would probably step in right around 25,575. I'm not going to mark that on the chart right now. But breaking this, if we do in the near future, you just kind of stair step up. It's not a big of a void on this as there is for the Russell. So looking at all the charts, kind of putting a wrap on the thoughts for the day. If we take out the overnight low, it could just be a flush down to 3,004 and then back up. Remember, we do have the point of control from the other day was at 28 or 29.97, which would basically be right around the cash equivalents. The cash equivalent, so when you look at the CNBC and they're telling you what the S&P 500 is at, they're not giving you futures quotes. Basically, there's a right around 4-point offset. So when the futures are at basically 29.95 to 29.96, that's when the S&P 500 will be at 3,000. So any close above what the future is closing above 95 to 96 is going to be a close above 3,000 for the week. So keep that in mind as well going in later today if that comes into play. If we do end up having it, remember bears in slight control, but there's a lot of them trapped in this area and they haven't got anything lately. So they really need to push below this overnight low and at least get to 3,004, or they're going to start to slowly burn and churn through this band between 34.75 and 48.5. I hope this helps. If you like this type of technical analysis and you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel. You'll get thoughts from Jack and myself in the morning. You guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday.